Hello YouTube, it's Oliver Nance here. I'm so sorry I haven't had a video up in ages, but I think it's to do with my Adobe Flash Player and the fact it wasn't updated for ages. Anyway, should be back in business now if this video is uploaded and all that, which it will be if you're watching this. Anyway, about my hair, I think it looks a bit weird. I just got it up in a bun because, well, whatever, call that a bun possible, because I just washed my hair. Okay, anyway, on with that. Right now I've picked a book that is basically one of my favourite series. I think it comes in at third, with Werewolf being first, Chronicles of Ancient Darkness being second. This one is definitely my third, or maybe joint second, I don't know. It's a trilogy, and it's by an author called Stuart Hill. He's not a best-selling author, neither is the book a bestseller, but I really do think it deserves more recognition, and I want the film. The book is, as I said, it's a trilogy. It's called The Cry of the Icemark. It's by Stuart Hill, I just said, of course, and it's the first in the series, the Icemark Chronicles. Okay, so it's about, how big are we going? Should we get this up? 494 pages long, so reasonably thick, and the print, see, is quite small, and it does cover quite a bit of the page. Okay, and each chapter is headed with the arrow, which is the featured thing on the front of the book. I don't know why there's an arrow. I don't know what's special about the arrow in the book, because as far as I know, there is no special arrow in the book. They just picked it at random, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so it says basically $6.99 in the UK. It's published by Chicken House here. I don't know what it's published by in other countries. Okay, here goes the blurb. It's quite short. Blood, blast, and fire. When her father dies in battle, 14-year-old Tharaman becomes Queen of the Icemark. Determined to defend her tiny kingdom from the most terrible invasion her nation has ever known. This is the epic story of how she rallies her country to find some extraordinary new allies: vampires, wolf folk, giants, snow leopards, and most precious of all, her friend Oskan, which is son. Okay, so that's basically told you a little bit about what it is. Okay, so now the book is set in probably around about Roman Empire, Celt time, because the enemy is this polypolitan empire, which is basically the equivalent of the Roman Empire. This is set in a parallel world, probably with slightly different shaped continents, I don't know, but in the second book, The Line of Fire, you get reference to places like Africa. It's like Africa, but spelled with a K, I think before the C. And yeah, this is probably set in sorry about that. It's probably set in I don't know, where Vikings come from, the Denmark and such, because it does references to Viking mythology, like you've got Valhalla and Odin and all that, so that's probably what happens. Okay, so the book starts off with Tharaman. She's 13 at the time. Her birthday's on Yule. After then, her father is killed. Now, it's coming up to Yule, and she and a housecarl, which is basically like a knight really, they're going through the forest, and they're following these footprints. Now, these are very unusual footprints, because they shouldn't be there. They're wolf folk footprints or werewolf footprints. And wolf folk have basically been banished from the Icemark, and you know, if you find a werewolf in the Icemark, you kind of kill it. So they're tracking it, and basically it leaps out and attacks Tharaman, and she punches it on the nose, which is brilliant. But rather than killing her, like she says, because basically it's got her pinned down, and she's like, "Kill me, werewolf, make it quick." He gets up and he runs. He leaves her, and she's pretty stunned at this. Anyway, this is basically the first stages in cementing an alliance with the werewolves. And I think it was King Grishmak she actually punched. I can't quite remember, it's been ages since I read the book, but yeah, the king of the werewolves. Okay, so the werewolves in this book, they're anthro wolves, and they're permanently stuck in wolf form. And they have their own language. Then of course, Tharaman has to go and get other allies. Now she comes across Oskan quite early in the book. She and several housecarls, they get caught out in this storm, and they need to take shelter because one of them is injured. So they stumble across this cave, and Oskan is there. Now when you first meet Oskan, you think he's got like he's become like this really, really serious hermit, because he's all cold and reserved, and he's like not too keen about having all these people in his cave, and he only like doesn't live that far from Frostmarius, which is like the capital city of the Icemark, where Tharaman lives, of course. So they think, okay, he's a hermit. He's lived for like 15 years of his life in a cave. That's always good for social interactions. And turns out he's a warlock, and gradually he and Tharaman get along, you know, and they go on this big quest to get other allies, the snow leopards and the vampires. However, it's quite interesting in that book because you get part of it from Oskan's point of view, and you can see he's actually struggling with his self because of who his father is. Now, because when he comes of age, like 15, which is the age in the book, first book, he has to choose between the light and the dark, and he's very tempted by the dark, because it's to do with who his father is. Well, I will not be revealing his father's identity. That's later revealed in the other books. So after that, basically, they go to two places. It's called the Hub of the World, and they go with the vampires. No, not the vampires. Sorry, the werewolves rather. They go on a single expedition to the Hub of the World and the Land of Ghosts. So the Hub of the World, which I think is actually the second place they go to, is this basic wasteland of ice, and it's where the snow leopards live, and they're like massive and they talk, and they're awesome. And Tharaman Thar and Grishmak, later on in the book, you'll come to like them, because you know how in Lord of the Rings and the films when Gimli and Legolas have their drinking contests and such, yeah? It's like those two. They're constantly having all this drinking and eating contests. Okay. The snow leopards first come across as being pretty like hostile, but they soon like warm up, and they're actually just quite good. The vampires, on the other hand, are not only you want to punch them, but they are awesome. They are your traditional vampires. They can't go out in the sun, obviously. They live in like this really creepy dead land, which I've already said is called the Land of Ghosts. It's filled with sort of like all the undead, so you've got zombies, you've got ghosts, you've got giant snowy owls in there for some reason. And basically the vampires, you've got the vampire king and queen, they live in this place called the Blood Palace, which I think looks basically like, a bit like it's made out of bone, a rib cage or something. And basically, yeah, they have to go into this place Tharaman and Oskan do. And how they become allies with the vampires is really quite one of the most dangerous ways I've ever seen to get an alliance with a vampire. You never ever go around blackmailing or threatening vampires, trust me. Yeah, that should give you some clue of what they have to do. And the vampires, as I was saying, okay, so the vampires, they dress in black armour. They have these awesome long swords that are like all serrated and really jagged blades. As far as I know, they do actually have an army, so like have a general and whatnot. And they transform into giant bats. And also they do drink human blood, and another thing, because the werewolves go with Tharaman and Oskan to the land of Ghoshmith, thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be some giant battle between the vampires and the werewolves, and like half of this book is going to be between the vampire-werewolf feud, and we're going to get nowhere. That's not the case. In this book, the vampires and werewolves are not like each other's enemies. At first, the werewolves get mildly, well, pretty much very annoyed at the vampires for insulting Tharaman, but apart from that, they do. Oh yeah, I got a cold, by the way, which is why I'm sniffing so much. Oh yeah, well basically, to give you an idea of how the werewolves and the vampires get along, Grishmak, King of the Werewolves, says at one point in the 3rd book, I believe, it's so useful to have the vampires right now. Something like that. You never normally hear a werewolf say that. Unless they were like dead or something, but in this one it was very cool. Of course, the book is very well written. It's got lots of description in, and it literally had me hooked. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The chapters, I think, are about 20 or so pages long, so they're average chapter length. I will warn you though, with Cry of the Icemark, you'll think, oh, this first chapter's awesome, and then you'll be like, what? Because it does actually slow down. Once you get past about chapter 3, the story just kicks off and you're away. But yeah, you've got to go. You will have to bear that in mind if you think, what did she recommend it to me? You just have to grit your teeth to it. Other things, yes, Oskan is of course the most awesome warlock in existence, I will say that now. And yeah, I would say that if you like the mortal instruments or anything like that, you have to get this. The main guy character is not a jerk, and yeah, it's just, I would say it's a lot better than the mortal instruments. And I think another reason why I really liked it is I seem to be enjoying all these like supernatural fantasies, and this is a historical supernatural fantasy, so yeah, so very, very cool. Okay, I think that is all. I may redo this review if I think it's absolutely rubbish. Yeah, apart from that, cool.